Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Caravan of Garbage, where we've circled back round. We're Breaking Bad big time. Because, look, Twilight, all right?
We just figured we'd finish it off. We were like, should we do a joke?
Do we do a big trick?
Do we do some sort of big trick where actually this time we do Batman Begins and it makes all the people who have somehow invested in the Twilight Saga sad because we didn't do the last Twilight, but then we're like, personally, I'm like, I gotta know what happens to that Twilight.
Gotta know what happens.
So here we are, we're back, Twilight 5 this time. It's Twilight.
This time it is Twilight. Leave a like if you could. And because last week was... Well, we watched half a movie that was the length of a full movie. This week is the other half of that movie, which is also the length of a full movie, which is what happens when you take a book with not very much content and drag it out with a montage of meeting different vampires and then a fight that didn't really happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what you do is you add a very long late 90s X-Men style title sequence.
Yeah, you do, don't
Just
you?
flying through DNA, or in this case, a forest.
And it's turning to frozen because her blood is turning to... Bella got what she wanted. She's
Yeah.
a terrible vampire now. She can run through the woods on a green screen mat or
She
whatever.
can eat a cougar. I looked it up just now. I found an article from 4 years ago that says eastern cougar officially declared extinct. So I'm not saying she certainly didn't not contribute to that.
Do you think there's a chance, like when Steven Spielberg made Jaws, that it did nothing for the sharks out there in the world who are just trying to live their life? And so there's Twilight fans out there tackling and killing cougars.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that what's going on here?
That's definitely what was going on, yeah.
So yeah, her thirst is out of control, but luckily one of her powers is that her thirst is not out of control, actually.
That's very handy.
I think so too. But boy, is she strong. Boy, is she good at arm wrestling. Boy, is she mad at Jacob. But why would she be mad at a grown man falling in love with a baby? What do you think
I
that
think
is?
the answer's actually contained in the question there.
Okay, sure.
If you review that again. And also, I'll have a note here. It just says, just get a regular baby. Look, I know.
I know.
It's even worse in this one. Bill Condon is directing this one as well.
Yeah,
he directed
yeah.
the last one. He's directing this one. I think this is the best looking of the five.
Except for the baby.
Except for the baby, which is a nightmare. It's just
Yeah.
horror. Look, I don't know how they normally film babies for movies, but they didn't just like film a baby for a couple of hours and go, there's a frame where they look happy, there's a frame where they look sad, let's cut that in.
Well,
just like they're like, no, we need to CGI in its expression, exactly how we need it. Well, I'm so glad the baby grows up almost immediately. We don't have to deal with the baby.
Well, actually, I wanted to show you that because I don't think the initial idea was to CGI this baby, get a regular baby. They actually went for initially an animatronic baby. And this may answer your question as to why they CGI'd
oh, you have a
the
photo?
baby.
Okay. Oh, no, what's with its
frog?
eyes? It's have none of these people seen a baby? Is that...
Yeah.
That's wild.
I know.
Although I you know what they've done though, because the
that?
actor who plays the child.
Keep looking at it.
No, I don't want to. The child that plays the
Mackenzie Foy.
Renesmee.
Ren Smith.
What they've done is they've taken a photo of her and they've worked backwards to the animatronic.
Yes.
And but they've not gone, but we need to have a baby at the end of this. Stop showing it to me. I hate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very bizarre that you couldn't just get a series of babies or a series of little girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just strange. Why did you do that? I mean, aside from that, it's a perfect series.
I wonder that maybe in the book, the baby is described in a very specific way.
It's ugly. It looks like an animatronic freak. Something you'd put in a bin.
And the fans would have rioted if they didn't get exactly that freak.
So when Bella comes back from the hunt initially, she's like, Jacob, what are you still doing there? Still doing here? And he's like, Bella, how great you look and how great you and Edward look together. I'm so happy for you now because I no longer have feelings for you because I'm in love with this baby. And she's not very happy about it. And he's like, look, it doesn't mean what you think. And then,
she's upset that he has, quote, some moronic wolfy claim on the baby.
Not an incorrect statement. And look, again, they play it off for a lot of this movie that, he's like an older brother figure. He's a father figure. But then towards the end, of course, we flash forward and that's clearly not true. That's clearly not what's going on here at all. And let me just say also, Mason, poor Charlie, as in Bella's dad. Because first of all, Jacob shows up and he goes, something's gone horribly wrong with your daughter. I mean, she's fine, but something's wrong?
Something's wrong. She can't talk to you on the phone.
Yeah.
Can't see her.
Does this help though? I'm a wolf. No, that's really confusing, actually.
Yeah.
Is your thing to do with her thing? No. Those things are unrelated.
I mean, the thing that I turn into has a blood feud, a millennia-old blood feud with the thing your daughter's turned into, but no, and also you can't see her.
Except he can, because one of her powers is that she can just not bite people. Initially, she's like, I'm going to bite this dude up this mountain. But also, I think I mentioned in an earlier episode, just put contacts in with the eyes, and they do this. So well done, director Bill Condon, for anticipating my criticism 12 years before I made it.
That's right.
Yeah. Excellent
Can you
work.
unding that CinemaSins bell?
You can never unding the bell.
I love that in that scene though, before she gets visited by Charlie, the Cullen family giving Bella tips on how to appear more human.
Yeah.
How dare you, the Cullen family, the weirdest family in Washington? What are you doing?
So little things like move your shoulders, don't sit so straight, pretend you're breathing. I don't know.
But be sure to wear odd clothes and stare.
Yeah.
Don't forget to do that.
That's super important. But I just feel bad for her dad because he never quite figures out what's going on. He knows something's up with that baby because it keeps growing every time he sees it. But nobody ever sits him down and explains it to him because of so I don't know, because he's in danger?
I feel the genie is out of the bottle at this point.
Yeah.
Not that there's any genies in this. Or is
that
there,
we
mate?
know of.
Sexy teen genies?
Yeah. But I guess also if they tell him someone who's got the power to read minds would figure out that he knows, and that's why they don't tell him. Is that it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe because of the Volturi.
Speaking of.
Those fancy Italian vampires.
Those Italians, they're back. And you know what? They hate freaks. You know?
It's true,
they're like,
yeah.
nobody different, thank you.
Did you? I know it's a franchise for teens, but I think it's extraordinarily unlikely that they got all these internationals together, and at no point does anybody drop an old timey slur. Yeah. Oh, those Polish vampires! I think they're a bunch of no. You know what I liked?
Yeah.
I mean, look. Some of the international vampires, they gather the Cullens gather up all their international friends who want to make a stand against the Volturi, right?
Romanians.
Right, and some of them feel dangerously close to cultural stereotypes, obviously. And I'm like, I don't know how to feel about, that's some sort of cultural dress. What is that? Oh, that's very native, but I don't know what native to what. Where are you really from? Have you just come from a rave? No, you're not allowed. I don't
Burning
think.
Man.
They've come from Burning Man.
They've all come from Burning Man.
But at the same time, I was very disappointed that even though they're all from different nations, they're all just slight variations on the standard Twilight European vampire. There's no super weird regional variants. There's not a guy who shows up and he's like, hey, I'm Gary, I'm from the Philippines. I sneak into men's houses and steal their genitals at night. Does anybody need any genitals stolen? All right, well, I'm here if you need me. I'm afraid of house cats and table salt.
I love the idea of regional monsters. That's terrific. But no, it's just the Irish are here. Are they? Cool. There's nomads and Amazons and Irishmen.
And Rami Malek.
Rami Malek's in this.
And Wendell Pierce, Bunk from The Wire, is here. He's not a vampire, he's a regular man. But he's here.
But he's here, he's absolutely here, but he knows something's up, but he doesn't know something's up, does he, at the same time? So they're all gathered together.
Also, where are the Australian vampires?
Well, they got to get a flight. It's a long flight, you know?
It's true, yeah.
It's like a 20-hour flight.
But I think is where are the Australian vampires working as bartenders in America that could have popped in?
No, that's a great point. Yeah, so they're together because they need people to bear witness that this child, this freak, which I don't mind saying so, Mason.
It's a freak child, sure.
is normal vampire children have to be put down because they don't age and they just have the bloodlust and they murder entire villages, which maybe also answered a question we had from a previous video also. And Michael Sheen is having a heck of a time, isn't he, mate?
He's chewing some scenery,
I've never seen him have so much fun in such a fantastic week.
You never know if he's going to go, or if he's going to go, ooh.
I also like how at this point, let's do some vampire lore.
Okay, first of all, they're not crystal anymore. They're just inexplicably not crystal vampires anymore.
They're
remember the last one? You crack their head off and then just a sparkly diamond dust would come out.
Now it's just
they're just regular.
Rock or
in between movies too,
people.
I think.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? I don't know, maybe it's different seasons of the year. But yeah, also they're...
It's true, mate. Yeah, maybe they're in a winter right now. Yeah.
But their powers are just... It's just anything, really, isn't it now? Rami Malek has elemental powers. One has electricity. Bella has super self-control and also a shield. So we get like a MacGruber-style montage of gathering up the forces, except it takes like an hour and 10 minutes to meet all these different people because, again, this is half a book and half a book where not much obviously happens. But it does, of course, build up to the big finale. The big finish. And it's just, oh my God. Like, did you know that this wasn't real?
The one thing I knew before we embarked on the ordeal that is the Twilight Saga was that at the end there's a big battle that turns out not to be real. But I didn't know any of the specifics. But look, honestly, of all the stuff that happens in these movies, that is kind of the thing that makes the most sense because we've already established there's one vampire who can see the future in her mind, and there's another vampire that can see whatever is in someone's mind.
It's true.
And so they combine the two, and that kind of makes sense. And like, I know there are people who, I think I read it in a Cracked article or something like that.
Right.
And I think there were people who were big mad about it.
What the?
But like that, if Alice, the vampire who can see the future, like if she couldn't do that and all of a sudden she could just do it, I'd be like, well, this is a bit cheap. But I think it's fine. And you get to have your cake, big battle, and eat it too. All your favourites aren't dead. Billy Burke's character still, Carlisle's still alive.
He's still having a good time.
Didn't get beheaded. And there are people out. I'm sure there are people out there who probably watch it and they're big mad and they're like, well, yeah, but the point is that it didn't happen. Well, everything you see at the movies didn't happen.
Is that true?
It's made up. It's all made up.
What about the movie where James Franco got stuck under a rock? Did that happen? Not to him, though, did it?
No.
He's not still under that rock, is he?
I mean, he's not here, so I couldn't say for sure. The only
he is
thing
under
that's
a rock.
real at the movies is Jackass. That's the realest thing you'll ever see.
Yeah, very good. But I think also, like, in a book, which apparently ends not with a big battle.
Really?
That's fine for a book that just kind of peters off and sort of leaves a bunch of stuff up in the air and then stops. But I think in a movie,
I actually don't think that is fine. That doesn't sound good at all for a book. I wouldn't buy a book where the review said, yeah, and at the end it just sort of peters off a bit. I don't know. And Charlie's sad. I'd be like, oh, who's Charlie? It's so sad. I don't want to read about sad Charlie.
But just like the idea of at the end of this, they all meet in the field and then they go, nah, better not. Like you can't do that in a movie, can you? So we get dogs versus Draculas, Mason.
Sure do.
And boy, are there some deaths here. Some of my favourites.
It's not often that in a movie primarily targeted at teenage girls, you see a big dog getting its neck snapped by a vampire.
Or people just falling into lava.
Yeah.
There's a dude who gets his head ripped off at the jaw.
Yeah.
All of these vampires are coming apart like Duplo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way that they fall apart and then get burnt, and I did enjoy the way that Bella and Edward team up to kill Michael Sheen.
Somebody gets a football tackled and then they just come to bits.
Yeah.
Like a mannequin in a clothing store.
It reminds me of the Edgar Wright movie where they fight all those robot aliens. That's what it feels like. People are just coming apart at the seams here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Maybe you might deal with this in vampire lore.
Sure.
If you twist a Twilight vampire's head off, will they come back to life if you put the head back on the stump?
Yes, I think we talked about this. That's why you have to burn it.
Yeah.
And they also burn immediately. They're extremely flammable, it turns out also. I don't know what that is. Do they release a gas when you, like, crack them a little bit?
Maybe they do, yeah.
Like a burst gas main? I don't know what this is.
And they smell like the most famous dish of their native land. 4 and 20 pies?
So yeah, it just kind of, they decide not to fight. And then we get a glimpse at the future. And, Jacob's like, oh, Edward, should I call you dad or whatever? Not cool. Don't say that.
Yeah,
That's not a cool thing to say.
Yeah.
And then they all have like...
we're still at a point where I think Edward could just reach out and break his neck and be like, that happened in the battle.
And then they all have like...
You all saw it.
And everyone would go, yeah, no, we did. We did say that actually. But then they all have like... Bella also has premonition montage movie powers and can show not only the things that have happened in the Twilight Saga, but also, I guess, 7 years in the future when the baby's grown up and she's together with Jacob. She's got a CGI face. They're all hugging on a beach.
So at the age of 7 where everything's cool now.
Exactly, where everything's cool now. Just dreadful. Like, just what a dreadful, eerie ending to a saga. And they're just sitting in the field and they're just like, well, we did it. But at the same time, I'm like, you didn't really resolve anything. There's still like this coven of Italian vampires who've clearly been going around the world for thousands of years just killing people they don't like, and everybody knows that. Why did it stop here? Why wasn't there another one? I'm not saying there should be another one.
All right.
But why here? What's the point of leaving it right now?
Because then the movie can end.
I guess it can. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I thought
agree.
this was like a definitive end to the saga.
Yeah.
But this is not like, this isn't even like the end of Return of the Jedi where like they defeat the Empire, but there's, there's still room if you did want to like expand on that, which they obviously have. There's so much more going on here.
The leaders, the Emperor is still alive in this instance, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm
Michael
saying.
Sheen.
Michael Sheen. Anyways, it's time for breaking trivia.
Maybe he slips in the shower in a deleted scene at the end.
Yeah. Porcelain is stronger than a vampire's neck, maybe?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Then he rolls into a furnace that he keeps next to his shower. It's time for breaking trivia part 2, Mason.
I'm ready.
I only have one bit of trivia, and it might surprise you.
Oh.
The final fight sequence was supposed to be real, not a premonition. But
They were going to get the actual actors to kill each other.
But the producers demanded to stick with the book's anticlimactic ending.
Terrific.
Bill Condon said that he liked the grittier and darker ending where most of the Cullen family would die, but the author Stephenie Meyer disagreed and insisted to end the film her way. Which I guess makes sense. It's her franchise really at heart,
Sure.
and she can absolutely do that. Did you know, though, that this was the biggest Twilight movie of the franchise? Budget of $136 million, which was mostly covering up that horrible animatronic baby. It made $829 million, which again makes me go, why did they stop here?
Right?
It's baffling to me.
That's like later stage Marvel money.
Exactly.
That's so much money.
And I guess also they had another series that Stephenie Meyer was working on, The Host, which they made very soon after that. So I think they were thinking, we got some room here to move. Also, like, there was Hunger Games at that point, and probably other things that were attempting to get off the ground, which we have talked about. But
Maybe Stephenie Meyer's muse just wasn't calling anymore.
Maybe that's the case. That's what happens. Sometimes you go to ring your muse and there's no answer, and you're like, did my muse move and didn't tell me? They didn't even leave a
Was there a muse move?
But I thought what an interesting thing to kind of end this on would be.
Well, look, all I'm saying is that there's no way that like the film producers weren't calling her every day.
You're probably
for
right,
like the next few years. They're probably still calling her now, being like, you got anything?
You got anything in the tank?
You reckon they might be doing something now?
Call your muse.
Yeah, call your muse.
Or we're going to get you.
We'll get you.
Well, I guess also all of the actors, their contracts came to an end. So and it seemed like at the time, most of them were ready to leave it behind. But I thought what a good thing might be to do to kind of sum up the Twilight Saga is to look at the 3 leads and assess like how they feel about the saga right now. This very
terrific
second.
stuff. Okay.
I've done a bit of a deep dive,
All
Mason.
right.
So Taylor Lautner, at the time, he felt very trapped by the fame and kind of frustrated by it. Bearing in mind, in that first one, he was 16.
Sure,
You know what I mean?
yeah, right.
And he's got grown adults like lusting after him, and all of these things. It's like when you see with like
and children.
And children
but probably
also.
no one his own age.
Yes, probably. But then it's like with, you see how the people treat like the Stranger Things cast. And it's
Yeah,
like,
for
these
sure,
are children, you know?
Yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
just fucking back up because they're children.
Maybe stop texting him.
Yeah.
Dude.
So
stop texting the girl, 11. Stop texting her.
Yeah, but have you seen the way like...
We know you're going to ask her out when she turns 18. Don't do it.
Who
It's weird.
Who are we talking about?
I don't know. This is a hypothetical person.
So he had trouble going on a walk or going on a date. Fans would meet him screaming at the airport every time he went to go anywhere.
Come on, guys, move aside.
And he also said at the same time, when that all kind of gradually went away, it felt weird because then he's like, do people not actually like care about me as a person?
Yeah, right.
So for like 10 years, he didn't go to a grocery store or a mall, and it made him like quite anxious and a bit of a shut-in.
Wow.
Which is absolutely fair enough. But
And good practice for now.
so exactly. But doing much better now, though. Like
that's
moved on. He's obviously done a lot of work since then, and he's just kind of he's not resentful of the era, but he's glad he's done it, but he's also glad that he's through that particular time.
Yeah, right.
Let's look in at Kristen Stewart, Mason.
Okay.
She said about on the topic of the Twilight resurgence on Netflix. She said, I had no idea. This is great. I saw it was on Netflix. I was on and looking through it. It's weird. It feels incredibly far away and also still not that far away from me. She added the anniversary, made her realize I'm old, my God. Now it's like, wow, I have to go to my high school anniversary already. It's rad. I think it's amazing. So there you go.
All right.
And Robert Pattinson says, so this is about how he chooses roles off the back of Twilight. Because he did his very best to kind of not be typecast, you know what I mean? Do like
Absolutely,
oddball stuff and all that. and he's finally now like on board like another big property. He says, I'm constantly doing risk assessment, which drives everyone crazy, trying to predict every single element that could possibly happen. And then at the end, just be like, fuck it. I'm going to play a lighthouse keeper who fucks a mermaid. I think this is the right move. So yeah, they all look back on it fondly. I know also Catherine Hardwicke, who cast the first movie, has talked about how she felt guilty like thrusting these three people into this insane level of fame, which none of them were anticipating, because who knew that this would be like the biggest thing for 5 years?
But I guess also, like, what's the alternative is to cast like grizzled veterans of Hollywood already. You know?
Yeah, great point.
Get Eastwood.
Yeah. You're talking about Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood.
Scott Eastwood, yeah.
Grizzled veteran of Hollywood,
That's
Scott
right,
Eastwood.
Scott Eastwood.
Fast and Furious star Scott Eastwood.
That's who I'm
He's
talking about,
He's in
yes.
one of those, isn't he?
Certainly. 7-ish? 8?
7
Maybe
or
8.
8-ish, yeah. Here's a question for you, though. I know we're going to miss a lot of things from the series. For example,
Absolutely.
Edward's sensible Volvo. We get another one this time around.
we get the beautiful Volvo S60. Let me tell you, that's a compact executive sedan. 62,990 drive away.
Really?
Yeah.
Also, Lawrence, who's editing this, if you could put in a sensible Volvo montage.
Oh, that'd
So
be
I feel
terrific,
like
yeah.
that's what I miss most about this series.
Sooner or later it's over. I just don't want to miss you tonight. And I don't want the world to see me.
But yeah, do you, I guess, I mean, I talked about like how it just ended abruptly. Would you, in particular, like to see another something from this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They'd have to de-age everybody, though they
No.
mostly look pretty good, don't they? You
Just
do
say
some-
there's a vampire disease.
Oh no, there's a vampire disease.
They all look like you all look like the age you would be if 10 years had passed. I know.
Oh no, you look early 30s. Oh
Yeah, you're in your
no,
early 30s, I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess I would. Would you want it to be like tongue in cheek, or completely not self-aware like these ones are?
I think one of the strengths of this is that it's not tongue-in-cheek. That it is just straight-laced most
Yeah.
of the time, very serious. Like, all the silliness is just like, they just barrel through it like
Sure,
it doesn't
yeah,
exist, you know? I think that's one of the strengths of this. You don't need to be like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of, isn't this a bit silly? This series, I don't think, would have worked if it was that.
Yeah, right.
You don't need to Iron Man, like, up this, you know what I mean?
True. All right, but I mean, yeah, maybe give us another sequel where they finally deal with those pesky Italians. You know
Yep,
what I mean?
absolutely.
Get all the slurs out you want. You know.
Yes, yes, yes. And guess what, Mason? This is Caravan of Garbage, and I know people have been very patient going through this Twilight series. They're like, we just want something Batman from you guys. So guess what? Big surprise. Here's a hint towards next week.
There's a storm coming.
We're doing Catwoman. What do you think?
Nice, that's good.
Did we
That is-
decide on that?
I don't know, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so
No, neither have I.
yeah, there you go. What a world.
Probably good.
Yeah. And if you
It's probably the reason we haven't seen it in decades because of how good it is.
also, if you do want to see these videos early, you actually can if you head over to bigsandwich.co. That is our private Patreon service. It's only $9 a month, but you don't just get that. There are literally thousands of episodes of our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows, that comes out every Monday, comes out there Sunday. Other bonus podcasts, movie commentaries. Is there anything else worth mentioning there, Mason?
Sass. We're even sassier
Very sassy.
on bigsandwich.co than we are on these videos or on our regular podcast.
It's true.
Yeah.
If you do have any suggestions for what you want to see here, please let us know. You know, there's a big lineup this year. We're getting new Star Wars, we're getting new Avatar, getting new Marvel stuff.
That's right.
You know, the three things that we get now. We're getting all of those things this year.
We've also got an Uncharted.
Oh, yeah,
with the
that's
guy
right.
from Marvel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. That happened, didn't it? All right, thanks, everybody.
grab that jam, you guys. We will see you next week.
Goodbye.